anime. And I'd like to start off the panel discussion by having our panelists introduce themselves and tell a little bit about who they are and what they're working in.
My name is John Maupin. I'm a cartoon named Funny Guy. I've been doing it since January of 1995. I have been published on Traffic Publishing, Bloomington, Indiana, and it's on Amazon.com. I currently do it once a week, a story, 5-page story. Like I said, I've been doing it for 19 years, almost 2 years.
My name is Kerry Beck. I'm a local artist, publisher, art director. I'm the art director of a nonprofit comic book called Pantheon. We've been together about 5 years now. Got 2 books, got 1 book ready to go. Just have financial difficulties getting that one out. And me and my wife started our own little small press company last year called UPM Comics. I got 2 comics I'm looking to write down. Should be ready by November. One is a female superhero called Vega. And I'm doing an anthology. I've got, and this is money coming out of my pocket. I'm taking down to like Europe, all over the world, doing about 6 stories for me. And that should be ready to go. I'm getting, I got 1 more story left from down in Britain, and I should have that ready by November. So we're doing pretty good.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen, as you've been asked to participate in this panel discussion, we've done so because we recognize the quality that you bring to the field of this type of entertainment. And I guess you all, what inspired you to get into this field?
It's not a really hard question to answer. I just always had a love for it. Ever since I can remember, since I was like 5, I've always drawn, and I guess when I was probably about 12 years old, I started to kind of channel it in what direction I wanted to go into. So it wasn't so much realistic stuff, it just became cartoons. Also, cartoons, you know, you can change a person's mood, not just by the visual, but, you know, humor, and that's what I always liked about it. So the older I got, I started to try to figure out exactly what type of strip I wanted to make, and just kind of channeled it into something. I thought about making a comic strip about a cat or a dog that had been done so many times before. So I figured I would just do something based on my likeness. So the character looks like me, but it's kind of like not me, so I can't give it its own personality. So I just started going in that direction, and I did a lot of studying up on cartoons, like what they have to do to get published into newspapers. And it's a very hard thing to try to break into. So the first thing I did was get a copyright. I don't know if you get a copyright. Then I just started like going and trying to talk to newspaper companies. But that was very hard to do. So I tried to do the syndicated route. Syndication is very hard. I had to do a lot of stuff on that. I tried it for a lot of years. And then I decided to get it published. So I went to a small publishing company, which I looked up online, and they walked me through the steps, and I was able to get a book published. So now, by having it on websites, Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, helps me get a little bit more exposure. But I continue to do the comic strip every week, so that's kind of like getting reps in. So, but when I did my study, you know, I kind of like contacted some cartoonists, and they told me that you continue to keep drawing a comic strip every week. That way, if you're ever to get an opportunity to get somewhere with it, you have plenty of material. So that's kind of how I got into it.
I came up the old way. I'm 53. I grew up on Marvel Comics. And me and my friends, everybody in the neighborhood, we share comics. We have a contest about who could draw Spider-Man better. I usually won. So I kept at it. I took art classes in school and just kept taking art classes in school. And by the time I got to high school, I went to educational. My teacher really, he saw everybody else in class was clowns with me. he really said something that was into it. He showed me he wanted to go to college. I said, yes, I do. So he got me a scholarship to Cartoonist College of Art and Design. This is back in 1978. So, but before all that, I was reading books on how to draw, how to draw comics and Marvel. Books like that inspired me. It's like, oh, this is like a peek behind the curtain. You gotta sketch it out first. And then, I thought comics was like made magically or something. I didn't know a guy could sit down and sketch it again, and then draw it, and another guy comes in and ink it for you. Then there's a colorist. There's a whole education behind it. So I went to school, but I messed up with the school. The school I went to, this is before comics really got curriculum colleges. I was doing good, but they had like sociology. I still had to do history, and that's why it was funky. So I just flunked out of art school, and I joined the Army like 1980. So by the time I joined the Army, colleges started having comic book courses. So that was like, okay. Couldn't do that in 4 years. I was in Army, got out. And it was a hard business to get into. Before the internet way back then, it's like, didn't know anybody. So, I was in New York. I was in line to meet them. But the okey-doke was, you had to have an extra ticket to meet the man. I was like this close to Stan Lee. And I was like, are you kidding me? I came out, basically that's why I went to New York to see Stan Lee at the convention. But I got here to speak. He did a panel later on in the day, and he gave her like the whole history about how he became a writer, how he created, co-created most of the Marvel heroes. And that was an inspiration. It's like, I grew up on Stan Lee. He taught me how to read. Reading him made me read books. He'll throw in a big word, and thank God my mom had encyclopedias, dictionaries. I go there and start looking at the dictionary. That's what that word means, so reading comics is like a stepping stone. You should keep at it to read novels. It just help.
Yeah, thank you. I also, as a Marvel fan growing up on their product as well, one of the things I want to have us think about today as part of this discussion, since this is dealing with blacks in cartoonists, in comics, and other forms of entertainment of that nature, is what challenges do you see as black artists getting into this particular field? And do you think that those challenges, given the fact that we're now supposedly being in a colorblind society, are going to go away?
With me, I just, I didn't want to, when I first started to get into this field, I really didn't want to believe that it was a cup situation. But I believe that, there's a limited amount of cartoonists who are black who do, break into that field. And I just believe a lot of society, they base their entertainment, everything basically on shock value. And the art that I draw is, I consider it old school, non-threatening, good old-fashioned, old-fashioned humor. So I just kind of look at it that way. So maybe there is a challenge, one, because my work is not based on shock value, and then two, because it is a black cartoon. I'm not saying that they don't have black cartoons, but there's a small amount, just like when you see in the movies, small amount of black movies. So if you're lucky enough to get into that, break in, and you're there, but what about the other movies that are not there?
I have a picture that I like to show that I drew.
Yep.
He was my favorite.
That's the gateway. Yeah, everybody puts Spider in yourself, so now. No, I can't photograph your work. That's not the way you do it. You got to autograph it and give it to somebody. But this is a good story.
And you're a cartoonist.
Yeah. It's like you sit up here one day and somebody comes to you and you have something wrong, say, oh, I got it for you. So do you want to be a cartoonist or a comic book artist? What you got to do is, how old? Oh, God, you got a long way to go. But you take some more classes in school and get you have any books at home, like how to draw comics and more work. Read that book religiously. I mean, back to forward to back. It's the Bible on how to do comics. Yes, ma'am.
See the picture?
Mm-hmm.
You have it?
Yeah. It's like what I was doing when I was 10. But like I said, go to school, take classes, study anatomy, because you know superheroes are really exaggerated. And that's all you gotta do, just keep at it.
As we think about the field of comics, and I think one of the things I know that definitely had an impact on me when it came to Marvel, and why I was more of a Marvel fan than DC, not DC, is that you look at the stories that most of the Marvel characters were involved in, and usually they were more realistic. They had situations that you could relate to. For example, they talk about when listed on Spider-Man, how when they first started, Peter Parker was this teenager who had typical teenage problems. And when Stan Lee had presented the idea to his folks, the guy basically rejected it. He said, no, I would want to hear about a teenage problem. A hero cartoon about a hero coming in, saving the day, doing the rescue and all that kind of stuff. And you started to see that when Stan Lee and his peers began to work in this field, that the type and storyline and the way in which comics not only were drawn but told changed dramatically. And then eventually you saw as Marvel artists became prominent and eventually moved over to DC and other comic venues, that they brought that same type of philosophy with them, which changed the landscape of how comics were done and have been done probably since the 1960s. What do you all see as some of the coming areas of the evolution of comics, and especially when we're looking at minority characters? And
well, listen, I'll go back to Marvel. They're still always on the cutting edge of diversity. Like we just had I didn't read it, but the hero North Star, married, he's gay, he got married. Marvel, they went there,
Actually, they're making, what is it now? They got a woman Thor coming out.
Exactly.
And Black Captain America.
Yeah, the Falcon is changing over. He's going to take Captain America's role for a while. Because Captain America gets sick from the super serum. And it's about time the Falcon gets his, it's going to give him more exposure. And right now they got the Mighty Avengers. It's the first cast. Luke Cage, the Falcon, Blade. But then you got Spider-Man in there. Not Miles Morales, but Peter Parker. But it is the first Avengers this time.
And that's also an interesting thing about when you talk about the Avengers, because to my knowledge, that was the first superhero team where they actually had a leader who was of an ethnic background. When Monica Rambeau, the second Captain Marvel, became Avenger chair, nominated by Captain America himself, and she ran the organization for a considerable period of time. It wasn't just a one issue, one shot.
Yeah, but it's done. Yeah.
And so we can definitely say that for years Marvel has definitely been an organization that's looked towards appealing to people of all walks of life, and not necessarily going after traditional comic audience or the traditional mainstream demographic that have supported those particular type of books. And as we think about, again, the evolution of cartoonists, comic books, and particularly in the comic strip, we have not seen a great presence of minorities, but especially African Americans in comic strips in any significance. Will that change, or how can they change?
Yeah, I can remain, and his name is Casey now, we got these blue dots, but I'm old enough to remember more return.
Yeah.
And that's about it, I think. I know there's some female artists back in, I think, the 40s, did comic strips, but that's just going to come to my attention.
Yeah, like I said, you know, I remember coming up, I did not remember seeing a lot of black cartoons. I mean, I grew up idolizing Charles Schulz. You know, that was my mentor. You know, he didn't know he was my mentor. He was my mentor. And that's what I studied, you know, religiously, trying to figure out how to go about becoming a cartoonist. So I basically channeled his whole, you know, all the steps to get to where he was. Now, of course, I'm not arrived, but I can remember Grandpa being brought up in his books, and I guess I kind of channeled my comic strip kind of after his cartoon somewhat, because he dealt with a lot of sensitive issues, you know, religion, you know, how people feel about each other. And I kind of like try to put that in my comic strip, even though my cartoon is based on ridiculous, you know, but it's not threatening, it's not based on shock value. And people will probably look at my comic strip as being a black cartoon, you know, because the central character is black, but I have a multicolored cast in my cartoon. So I want to be able to, you know, draw everyone in, kids, teenagers, middle-aged people, older people. I try not to discriminate against anyone. So, I mean, in that sense, I guess I'm trying to change, you know, the way cartoons are set up nowadays, because I know certain things are geared to a certain people, but I would like to draw everyone into my comic strip. And I don't know if maybe my cartoon is not something right now that's what you would call a popular choice, because everybody is drawn into shock value. So I'm just trying to play my part in what God wants me to do, other than what, you know, I think is going to be drawing as far as getting money, or what is the profit. You know, you have to do what you think is the right thing, and not be motivated by God. So that's.
One would get a mind up and go to family back with me, so I draw everybody. Just like my character here, you know, she's part Asian and black. Her father's black and mother's Asian. So I just want to bring in the melting pot. But you know, well, you see this on superhero comics, but I want to continue that trend, you know. It's just saying, black family, white family, we're all, you know, especially my family, that's where I'm drawing it from. We're just in the middle. And we all get along, there's no drama, you know.
And I think about the field of animation as well as drawing the comic strips, things of that nature. One of the big changes that I can definitely note is I came from the generation of the Saturday morning cartoons, the Bugs Bunny, and so on and so forth. And you can go back even before that to the Disney studios with Mickey Mouse. And what I'm getting to is, as you look at this field, primarily your animation, your cartoonists were people who were American citizens and produced in American cities. Now, as you look at this field, particularly in the field of animation, you've noticed that Japanese anime has taken a serious leap forward over the years. And even with some of the more popular adult-based cartoons, you look at Family Guy and all of the Seth MacFarlane projects, the majority of them, they are produced through Romaine Productions, which is a company that's based out of South Korea. And it started to see probably since the mid-80s.
Yes, it's yeah. I didn't know they shot them out to Korea, so I started looking at the credits. So right. Like, whoa, where's the Americans at?
And so that was what I was trying to get into with my line of questioning to you all, is how much has the international or global presence impacted